Welcome back, everyone, to Disco Elysium. You're here with Randall Lefebvre, otherwise known as DraxxKraven, when we have found the lady's lorry. This green FALNAZ Contemporain is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen much better days. This must be the one he told us about, unless he was lying. Try to peek in the window. The glass on the side windows is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of a seat and two steering levers. Try the door handle. The door is locked. The handle looks shiny, like it's recently been replaced. There's no picking this lock. The owner has put a special care into it. It's a recessed design. How are we going to get this open, Kim? Use the pry bar to smash the window. Open it from the inside. Really? This has been hard enough. No need to make it any harder. Okay, alright, fine. Let's go a physical instrument on that. I've got a physical instrument tank top. I think I've got another physical instrument item. Or do I have anything reducing my physical instrument? I don't. Okay. Alley-oop. This shouldn't be too hard. Oh, jeez. Nice. With a firm grip, you raise the pry bar, glint of light catching on the tip. Call down the hammer of truth and justice. Release your secrets, lorry cabin. Fuck the police! The window shatters and droplets of glass fly everywhere, shattering over the lorry floor and pavement. Subtle, says the lieutenant, sticks his hand in the window like a common car thief and opens it. The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you to the cabin inside. It's plastered with old movie posters, actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals. There's something odd about the passenger seat. The seating fabric has been pulled tight over the lower side of the seat where the toolbox should be. Admire the posters. These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films, from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eyes, a centerfold of an Indrine attached right above the back seat. There's definitely perfume in the air, spicy, with a hint of abrette, wafting through the bitter air of the cabin. What's the smell? The remnants of a sweet juniper-scented perfume. Granat number 5. Study the centerfold. The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph runs across the poster. She's looking past the camera. Wait, doesn't she resemble someone you know? You can't put a finger on whom exactly. This is Tepe Tijone, a starlet from the dawn of cinematography, less known for her talent than her tragic, untimely death. She wasted away in the drug den called the Door to the River, not far from here on Boogie Street, a mixture of cocaine and morphine. She was afraid of the world and of the camera. Enough. Examine the radio. Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed, likely by the missing lady driver. Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least. Why would anyone need so many radio stations? For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. This is all the shortwave, UW, and UKV. Looks like we're dealing with an impressively organized organizational tool, the nerve center of the huge operation with quite the range, too. A 20-kilometer radius at least, perhaps extended by an detachable antenna that's not here right now? Is there anything we can do with the radio? Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without the dial key. Check the pedals. You wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like a few tools lying around here, hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown down by the disorganized driver. But one detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle. Sandpaper adds extra grip. Looks like the driver has glued a piece of sandpaper to the throttle to offer some extra grip. Sandpaper, a novel technique. The sandpaper will also rub off the pattern from the driver's right boot sole. Yes? One of the footprints at the crime scene had an aberration. One sole was smoother than the other, which means the missing lady driver was present at the lynching. She's also the one running the drug trade. What a handful. Now we know for certain who the missing 8th person at the lynching was. Do you think that Hardy and his boys could also be involved in the drug operation? I think the entire union is involved. This would fit what Joyce told us, but I don't want to make any assumptions. Understood. We should still go and see what Titus has got to say on the matter. Are we finished with the lorry? Not quite. I want to peel off the cover on the passenger seat. Voila! A stack of neatly folded papers has been stashed beneath the seating fabric. You see 3 maps depicting a large metropolitan area. It's Revachol. Some of its routes and highways have been outlined with a pen. Bon prise. The lieutenant commends you as you shift through the treasures, well worn and folded into neat squares. Fold open the topmost map. This large map displays the elevated motorway called 881. The intake leading to Martinez is marked with a blue X. There's another X on the off-ramp at a place called the Old South. Toll booths at the intakes are marked with a circle. It looks like there are scant few ways of getting into the elevated motorway that runs over Jamrock, and this person knows them all. There are hundreds of thousands of motor carriages roar on the 881, high above the massive brown and red roofs that is Jamrock. The commuters don't even look down. The world ceases to exist outside the windshield. Where's the road lead? To Coron, through the middle-income neighborhoods there by the river, and then to Stella Maris and La Delta for work, while the men and women of Jamrock scuttle to their fates below the road. Fold up the second map. This municipal map from the 30s displays a complex system of storm sewers underneath a sub-district called the Pox, Old Military Hospital, right adjacent to the 41st Precinct. No storm will ever drown Revachol, the great solution to the riddle of history. Wind rips through the empty hallways of the once great military hospital, now just a ruin under an overgrown park. Beneath the hospital, great sewers tunnel and hum, vibrating with a life of their own. What does that sound? The rattle of motor carriages and lorries driving through long-forgotten tunnels lit by gas lamps. And the third map. The final map displays a labyrinth of service tunnels left over from the construction of Motorway 881. A few routes have been marked with a pen, where the tunnels and sewer surface near eminent domain and a traffic island in the central Jamrock by the lake. These service tunnels were probably used during the construction of the foundation under the motorway. What does this all mean? It means that the smugglers are secretly using the motorway to transport their goods and materials. They've infiltrated East Motor Tract, most likely. The RCM patrols most of these auxiliary roads, though apparently not all of them. So where does this contraband end up? Hard to say. This distribution network looks certainly large, yet still vague enough. It doesn't reveal much about the Bessemerti behind it. That sounds vaguely familiar. A Bessemerti is a Revacholian crime syndicate. They see themselves as the inheritors of the 14 Revacholian Indo-tribes, but really they're just violent gangs vying for control on the west side of Revachol. With cool names, he adds, with contempt like La Puta Madre and Ahura Mazda, the dark parody. Who do you think's behind this one? It's definitely not the Union. They just do some logistics. This operation has spread everywhere in Jamrock. If it's that widespread, then Madre remains the most likely suspect. He's bad news. There have been attempts at a serious investigation before, but they haven't ended well for those involved. Especially bad news for cops who may have something in their past they don't even know is there. Got it. Best not to disturb this scene. Pull out the pull. Metallic drawer slides from the seats. It's empty except for a folded newspaper. It's an issue of Peripherique from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out of its pages. It looks like an article ripped up from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the ULA and frequency system. These formulas look oddly painful. Maybe it's the hangover, but they give you a headache. The ULA and frequency system. I've never heard of that before. I know about FM, AM, UKV, but... Alright. Great, I think we got everything. But a word, detective, before we return to Joyce. What's up?
Alright, we've finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep.
Seems like that's something the police would do. What do you think of all this, Kim? Honestly, I'm quite worried about what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net. I'm not sure what the ULA and frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while avoiding frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks. Listening in on your calls between you and your station? A worrying prospect. Oh, and the maps we found, they reveal the geographical extent of the operation. Looks like they've used abandoned tunnels and access roads to stay hidden. This is useful information. Excuse me. And last but not least, it looks like the Hardy Boys knew this driver, as we know that she was present at the lynching. This may be the Union connection that we've been searching for. Will the RCM open an investigation into this? We should return to the murder case, see what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we're done for the day, I'll call my station and suggest a narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation. Sometime later, when we're doing that, we do not want to get caught up in that, though. What are you thinking? The fact that one hasn't already started gives me pause. An investigation, I mean, especially if the Madre grouping is involved. I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome. Corruption? He nods. All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either. What about the movie posters? As elegant as they are, I don't think they're relevant to the drug trade. Don't be fooled. Desire always plays a role. A lot of women there, especially for a lady driver's cabin. Yes, well... So it turns out this is connected to the Union. Like Joyce told us, yes, logistically, but don't expect to bust this thing open during our stay here. At best, this is an angle we can use against them. To other ends, as extra ammunition. Debrief over? Debrief over. After you. Alright, we should go tell Everard that we delivered the... We unlocked the door. Because, holy shit, I just remembered. I didn't tell him that I unlocked the door. Oh, also, I should put these ridiculous things away. Well, I'll keep the thingy. The ledger. It just looks too cool. Also, I didn't notice the maps before, so I guess that's got to be a perception test of some variety. Anything new to spot in here? Nope. Actually, let me check the map. Hey, I can try using the punch clock payphone. Oh, and I can give that another try. Oh, jeez. Making an authority roll against Titan Hardy is going to be fucking hard. Sorry, Titus. Do I have anything that increases my interfacing? I don't think so. Oh. -1 perception, +1 Inland Empire. I think I'm willing to do that because my perception is... Never mind. My perception is 3. Damn, son. Good thing I upped it. Let's try it again. Yes! Don't mind me, I'm just gonna huff this magnesium. I'll be honest, I don't know how the magnesium is consumed. But points into volition? Yeah, maybe later. I'm running a real experience point dead over here right now. Then again, I do have a lot of tasks that I'm going to complete. Ostensibly. It's okay if some tasks remain uncompleted. That's just, you know, a sad fact. Like, I don't think there's a build that will be able to do literally everything. I don't believe so, anyway. Mr. Clare.
Mr. Dubois, a pleasure as always. You don't have to sit down this time, since you're already sat on that chair.
I opened the door, you asked me. Can we discuss the murder now? I'm very glad to hear that, Harry. One question. You didn't actually happen to stumble in and see what's inside the apartment, did you? I was trying to figure out if you're lying. I may have gone inside and seen a collection of racist mugs. Just as I thought. Culturally antiquated mug collection. What a weasel. Pissing on Everard's Rainbow Coalition. He was testing you. You succeeded. Now let's get down to brass tacks. It's time for men like me and you to figure out who's killed who and why. Real police work is gonna start happening right now. I promise you, Harry. This is gonna be good. The mug collection I mentioned, I found a similar mug in the trash with the hanged man's clothes. Racist mugs in the trash and in the apartment? You guys are just light years ahead of me. I have so much confidence in the ability of your organization. I'm relieved that you're doing this and leaving me to do what I do best, helping the people with the power of politics. Yes. Do you think this weasel is somehow connected to the murder? Oh, no. I don't cross paths like that. All I want is for you to succeed in your investigation. I would never complicate things for you. Oddly, that seems to be true. But this weasel might have cleaned up after the killers. Believe me, Harry, he's a nobody. Just your basement variety nobody. Can't imagine him being connected to a high-caliber case like this. But he does live nearby. Maybe it's a pedantic weasel. Fascists are known to be neat freaks. I feel like a real detective right now, Harry. Am I getting this right? He imitates bashing something with an imaginary baton. Great technique. You'd make a great sergeant. Would he? I'm not so sure about that. Oh, you're too kind, Harry. Way too kind. I know I'm not a real police officer. You are. I've heard about a connection between the lynching and the strike. I'd like to hear what you know about it. By now, I'm sure you figured out who the dead man was working for. The bad guys, Wild Pines, sent to scare us. Another violent measure off the top hats of the top hats against us flat caps. I'm listening. Harry, this strike is the culmination of what many mistakes made by the Wild Pines group. They tried to shut the strike down by sending in armed mercenaries. You mean our victim? A security contractor. Can you imagine that? Workers standing in peaceful protest, united in the spirit of fellowship, and they send hired killers to mow us down with machine gun fire. He performs a motion as if spraying bullets from a machine gun. I'm talking beasts, hardened killers from the proxy wars in Yezut, Semenine, Saramiriza. You name it, they've done it. Raping, killing, burning villages, killing little children for the Senorita Pineapple Company, Harry. Everything they did there, they brought over here. They want to turn Riverdale into a third world slum. Honestly, the only thing they didn't do is kill the village elephant. Hold on, you have a village elephant? No, Harry, the elephant is metaphorical, and so is the village. But the mercs and their brutality are very real. Go on. Now, I haven't personally witnessed the brutalities out there. I have the luxury of staying in my container, you see. If I need to go somewhere, they just move me along. Wait, they moved the container? Yes, I'm an old man, Harry. My legs aren't what they used to be. They lift my office with the big crane. It's actually very fun. You should try it. But enough about being my fun container. The killers the company hired, I think there were 3 of them. Hardened commandos. One of them got downright suicidal, got drunk, violent, a little rapey. Even their own negotiator couldn't control him. That's your boy, the one who likes hanging out in trees. By negotiator, you mean Joyce. Harry, what you need to realize is we dock workers are not pushovers. We got grit, Harry. This whole neighborhood does. Push us hard enough and we push back. And when we do, we push to kill. An entire neighborhood of killers. Wait, the whole neighborhood is in on it? Potentially, Harry, potentially. We got arm wrestling champions, rowing club people, ex-coal miners, tough guys, all ready to spring into action for their home base. So who exactly did the pushing? There's a militant wing inside the union, a group of people whose duties don't involve manual labor, but peacekeeping in the neighborhood. They make sure everything runs smoothly. They're like you guys, idealistic people who want to make sure bad things don't happen. If they already have, well, punishment must follow. So these idealists killed our victim. One day, Titus Hardy, leader of this peacekeeping faction, comes up to me and says, "Boss, socialist democratic fervor drove us to take it upon ourselves to kill this beast that was burning the land." He probably worded it very differently, but that was the idea. Sure sounded to me like they killed him. I gave them 2 weeks paid leave and told them to lay low, avoid retaliation. Was you worried we might arrest him for this? Oh, I'm not at all worried about that. These are not the kind of men who get arrested. They're Martinez boys, tough, gritty. I'd like to see a man who takes them in. Besides, I sent my lawyer girl to look after them. If he's just boasting, then it sure doesn't feel like that to you. He's not worried at all. How do you know the mercenaries were hired by the shipping company? How do I know? Let me tell you about these people. He slams his fist on the desk. That's their MO. It's what they do. Last winter, some poor workers in Terminal E went on their little strike. The company sent in Sediment, a security contractor. The strike was over. The workers' right to wear protective footwear, Harry. These guys turn up and start beating people. Tell you what, Harry, I wouldn't be surprised if we got the same mercenary company after a little rebranding. I'm sure as hell not surprised to see an army of scabs under my gates. So you believe the scabs were organized by the security contractor? You said it? Hell. One of those guys looks big enough to take down the proverbial elephant. Boys like that don't just happen to show up during strikes. That does sound quite unlikely. Yes, the big guy leading the scabs at the gates is colossal. He's not scared of them. If anything, he likes them being there. Strange. You mentioned a lawyer girl? Oh, Liz is a bright one. I paid for that law degree myself, thinking it'll probably turn her all fancy, but hell, Harry, she came back a firebrand socialist. Sometimes she scares me with her zeal. Tell me about Titus Hardy. Oh, they are simply fine young men, all 7 of them. Exemplary union members, always working to advance their position in the local socialist democratic movement. Core members. Old Theo used to run them, but things really got kicked into gear when Titus took the reins and named the group after himself. Gotta love his initiative. Who's second in command? They're almost all of them great boys, born leaders, whatever happened. I'm sure they only had the best interests of Martinez and Revachol in mind. Work with them, hell, interview them, but don't fight them. They really are just like you. Men who like beer, women, and some order on the streets. Separate one from the herd. As you wish, Half-Light. So let me ask you this. Which one of the Hardy Boys is your least favorite? Oh, that would definitely be Fat Angus. His feet smell from a city block away, and he's always having noisome stomach troubles. Horrible, revolting guy. Let's say something happened to Fat Angus. A citizen's arrest. You would die, Harry. You would die, and in the process start a bloody and completely unnecessary war between the Debiteurs Union and the Citizens Militia. Angus, his ever-growling stomach, and his smelly feet are all part of the Union. You have as much right to arrest him as I have to arrest your partner here. Actually, less, because this is my hometown, my territory, my backyard. You're a guest here, Harry. Please remember that. Oh, and Harry, this is really grim. There's no need for that. We're friends. He sits back and looks at you in the eye with a wide smile. Everett, I met these Hardys. Could you ask them to cooperate? But of course, it's the least I can do for my good friend Harry. I'll do it right after we've concluded this little talk. You can now go and tell Titus about this. See what he has to say. Also, Harry, here's 5 real. Wait, Why are you giving it to me? I'm not giving it to you. Just holding out 5 real. I don't need it. I only wanted your help with the Hardy Boys. Oh, I wasn't offering it to you. Just holding it out there. But I'm willing to share some information. Was there anything else? We'll figure out what else Everard has to talk about next time on Disco Elysium. Good night, everyone.